What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Tottenham update. Not long to go till kickoff tonight, but we thought we would give you a quick update just before the game starts, starting off with Julian Nagelsmann. Well, I was going to say starting off with Graham Potter. Here we go, probably, but that's not been given yet to Spurs, seeing as Potter got sacked from Chelsea last night. But anyway, Christian Fulk Bayern says that Julian Nagelsmann would prefer to join Chelsea over Tottenham Hotspur. Surprise, surprise. Romano says that Nagelsmann is the favourite candidate to replace Graham Potter at Chelsea. There have already been approaches for Nagelsmann to be the next Chelsea head coach, and Nagelsmann is open to discussing a long-term project with Chelsea. Damasio says Nagelsmann does not want to start a new project now, and Chelsea could push to secure him for the summer. Paul O'Keefe says that Nagelsmann to Tottenham is looking difficult, and Sky Sports are saying that Chelsea owners actually have concerns over Nagelsmann's age. But it looks as though Nagelsmann to Chelsea is hotting up.
Definitely, and look, I think it makes sense because all lines up, doesn't it? Tuchel goes to Bayern Munich, now Nagelsmann comes available all of a sudden. Like, why sack Potter at this point when they didn't choose to sack him before? And that kind of tells me that maybe they've seen this Nagelsmann opportunity and they've decided to act now. Nagelsmann, though, on his from his point of view, it does seem as though whatever happens, he doesn't look like he's going to be going anywhere anytime soon. It looks like he wants to take his time over a decision, because maybe Madrid are going to come in from the summer. Maybe there's going to be other offers. So I don't think he's going to decide right now. But obviously, when he looks at the both squads, Tottenham and Chelsea have a far superior squad and the funds as well. But when it comes to like a project, they're also pretty slapdash, it seems, at the moment. They don't know what kind of direction they're going in from that point of view. So I guess there might be a bit of hesitancy from his point, looking at how they've dealt with their last two managers and the transfer spend and all that kind of thing, and whether he's going to get the time at Chelsea that maybe he will do at Tottenham. But then again, Tottenham as well, we're also a bit of a mess, no director of football. But then as well, from Chelsea's point of view, as you say, concerns over his age. Obviously he's a top manager, but after just having a project manager in Graham Potter who they promised time with and they didn't fulfill that promise, are they going to go then, instead of looking at experienced head who's going to command the respect of the dressing room, are they going to go with another 35-year-old who's still, who got kicked out of Bayern Munich because of a lack of respect? Is he going to command the dressing room like an experienced manager would? So I think there are a lot of concerns all over from that, but I think they would be stupid not to jump at the chance.
Yeah, I completely agree. I actually think that someone like Luis Enrique might suit Chelsea a bit more authority, maybe a bit older, has managed big players in the past at Barcelona and Spain. Yes, Nagelsmann did do Bayern, but it didn't really go well with him there. And I think Nagelsmann will do well at Chelsea, but I actually think that Luis Enrique might be just a bit of a better fit. But if they're willing to go down the project route and willing to give time, then I think that he'll do well there. But I hope they do go for Enrique. That will leave us a bit of a clean swoop to go get Nagelsmann. But let's move on to Roberto De Zerbi. Damasio saying that De Zerbi is a candidate for Tottenham and has a €13 million release clause. He wants to stay in the Premier League, whether that's with Brighton, Spurs or elsewhere. That's a weird one for me, that line, saying he wants to stay in the Premier League, whether that's with Brighton, Spurs or elsewhere. It's like, you only just joined Brighton. Of course he wants to stay in the Premier League. It's
very odd. Maybe, look, he could be that kind of character who's willing to jump ship at the first sign of a bigger club coming. I don't know what his history suggests on that front, but I do think it would be harsh on Brian, considering how well he's done over the last 7 months. Maybe he thinks this is the best it's ever going to be, and maybe if I leave at this point, maybe I get them to like 6th or 7th, and then I part ways, because I feel like I'm never going to be able to get them to like that top 4.
How's this going to be the best he's ever going to get, though? Because it's his, he hasn't even had a transfer window, has he, De Zerbi?
Yeah, he has.
What, January?
Yeah.
But he hasn't had like a summer window. He hasn't had a full season. So I'm
not saying he's right.
Why would he think like this is the best it's ever going to be?
Because are Brighton ever going to be more than this? You know what I mean? Challenge, like outside shot of top 6, basically. That's essentially what it is at the moment for Brighton. Are they ever going to really seriously, consistently challenge, the top 6? Maybe they can have a season where they do get in the top 6. I'm not saying he should think like that, but maybe he would think like that. Maybe that would give him cause to jump ship. But
you think like that so early on in your career there. Maybe
never
after
know.
a couple of years.
Yeah, you would look. Football management just is moving quicker and quicker these days. So you just never know. You never know. But I would be surprised. In all honesty, I would be surprised. But talking about first up, I don't think it happens. But talking about Brian, these kind of managers now, Potter's available. Do you reckon we look at him?
Of course, we're going to look at him. Are you mad? Every manager we go for is an ex-Chelsea
Especially
reject.
any available manager.
We were looking at him when he was at Brighton. Apparently, he rejected us when he was at Brighton because of Daniel Levy and the way Spurs are going. But now he's been burnt by Chelsea. I think he looks at Spurs in a different light.
Potentially, yeah. And I wonder if we do seriously consider him and think that he could be the right man for Tottenham.
I'm actually going to say something a bit controversial, I think, but I would actually rather Brendan Rodgers than Graham Potter.
Really?
Yeah.
I would rather Potter than Rodgers. Are we getting into Rodgers? No.
No.
Okay.
No. But the thing is, I don't think there's many people that are probably on the same opinion as me that would prefer Rodgers over Potter, but I really would, and I think that Rodgers has shown more in his career than Potter.
That's true. Potter obviously hasn't had, I remember he hasn't quite had the time at a club at the levels of Rodgers has had, in my opinion. Rodgers, in fact, when in his first season at Liverpool, he finished I think 8th in his first season and was able to stay on, and then obviously it was a title challenge. So Potter never got that time at Chelsea. Has he shown more in his career? He's had a longer career, so yeah, I would agree with that. But I do think that in terms of tactically how their teams play, I actually would prefer Potter in that sense.
You got to remember, man, that Liverpool team he had that finished second, and the Leicester team the first 2 years when they nearly got top 4 those 2 years, they both played brilliant football.
The Liverpool team did, yeah. The Leicester team was more of a counter-attacking team, but it was still
really
good.
Fun to watch team.
Yeah, it was good. They had Maddison, Vardy, had some good players, but at the end of the day, he kept having a tendency of bottling it every time.
But that Liverpool team he punched them above their weight at the time because they were nowhere near title challenges before that. And that Leicester team, he also punched them above their weight at the time. Massively.
Yeah, he did for a bit. He did. Yeah, and he did good jobs in both those places. Liverpool, I would say he was there for 3 years, and only 1 year he did a good job and nearly won the league, but the other 2 years they actually didn't do too well. And then Leicester, he did very well. You have to give him his props. He did very well at Leicester, but they bottled it.
This isn't Potter versus Rodgers debate. Maybe we should do that at some point in the coming days. But let's talk about Mauricio Pochettino, because Romano says there is no direct conversations between Tottenham and Pochettino. And Matt Law says that Pochettino is actually one of the favourites for the Chelsea job if they don't look at Nagelsmann.
Yeah, I think he would be one that you would think Bowley, after what's happened with Potter, you would think he would want somebody who's more experienced in the Premier League, like at a top level, managing at that kind of level, maybe like someone like Pochettino. I think Pochettino would obviously be a great appointment for Chelsea. I think he could really get into that squad and into the young players, because they've got quite a young average age, so they would really do the hard yards for Pochettino. So I am kind of worried about that, but
I think his name's on the Real Madrid job, though.
Yeah, I mean, that could be the case as well. That could be the case. I don't know where Madrid are looking at the moment, but obviously Pochettino, that never goes away with him and Real, so that could easily be the case. But I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea are interested in him. Obviously Spurs, they should be, but clearly they're not that interested in him right now, it seems.
Next up, Vincent Kompany, and Romano says that Vincent Kompany is one of the names on the Tottenham Hotspur list as he is appreciated by Spurs. I mean, we've spoken about him quite a few times over the last couple of days. I think it's safe to say that both of us are really impressed with the job that he is doing there. But I just have worries about him and the Man City links when Pep goes.
Definitely. There's obviously those kind of reservations, but in terms of how good of a manager he is, first of all, if he was to get that City job, he probably would have to do a really good job at somewhere like Spurs, or maybe not Tottenham, but a better club than Burnley.
Well,
to maybe
if he has a good season in the Premier League next year with Burnley, and let's say they finish in the top half or something.
Yeah, he would have to show. But I'm saying if he was to come to Tottenham, he would have to do a really good job to get the City job as well. So
that's the worry, though, because if he comes here and does a really good job, we're going to want him to stay, and he's going to want to go to Man City.
I get that, but you don't want him to do a bad job as well when he comes.
Yeah, I know. That's why I don't really want him.
Yeah, but I hear that. I hear all those reservations, but as well, if he's a very good manager, I would also be on board with that. And you deal those later. Look, you deal those problems when they come. In terms of if he wants to go City and all those kind of course, it's hard at Man City, but if he's at Tottenham and we're giving him a long-term deal, all that kind of stuff, maybe he would be committed in for the next few years at least to be Tottenham manager. And if that's the case, then we've decided he could be a manager to take us forward. I'm not totally against it, but I do hear those reservations, and he wouldn't be my first choice because of that.
Let's talk about a few players now. First up, James Maddison, as the Mail are reporting that Leicester's Maddison is a player that Tottenham wish to sign no matter who their manager is. And Daniel Levy is eager to bring him to the club. We also heard from Paul O'Keefe that Levy really wanted to buy him in the summer and Conte blocked it. So maybe he'll be second time lucky this summer. Yeah,
which is peculiar because Conte spoke about Tottenham needing a number 10. So why would he speak publicly about Spurs needing a number 10 so Kane can be pushed further forward and then also reject an opportunity to sign someone like Maddison who would be perfect? It doesn't make too much sense to me.
And also, why that? And then we sign players like Spence and Danjuma that they clearly didn't check with Conte if they wanted him or not.
Yeah, it's
the whole thing's a bit weird, isn't it?
It's very strange, but for sure, Maddison, I'm a massive fan of his. I actually think, obviously, set pieces, free kicks, corners, all these kind of things. I think he's would improve us massively. Obviously, I think in terms of having someone who's just creative in and around the penalty area, I think we need and a good long range shooter from midfield. I think we need that as well. So I think he's 2-footed. I think he's creative. I think he's incisive as well. I think he's worth a lot of money in my opinion. I think he would walk into our team. So I'd be a massive fan of getting Maddison through the door.
Yeah, absolutely. So would I. Next up, Mark Guehi, another player that we've been following for some time, and the Mail are reporting that Tottenham have wanted Mark Guehi of Crystal Palace for the past 2 windows and will try again this summer. Will we be successful this summer? And is he one that you really want through the door?
I like him. Again, he's young. He's a defender who's kind of still growing. He's obviously got really valuable Premier League experience behind him now through these couple of years at Crystal Palace. Obviously, England capped as well now. I think he's a really good young up-and-coming centre-back. The only thing I do worry about is he's just a bit raw on the ball, although he's still he's probably more composed than your average Premier League defender. I don't know if he's like elite yet, but he's still very young. I think he's very physical. I think he's quick. I think he would really help us play a high line.
22 years of age.
Yeah, he's good. I think he's good. I'd very much like to have him. I don't think he's like on a level of like the elite. Like, for example, I don't think he's like on Saliba's level or Bastoni's level, something like that, even though they're young as well. But I do think with his capacity to grow, he could grow into a top Premier League centre-back. So for sure, do I want him to come in and then be our immediate first choice? That's a different question. Would I like him to be an option at centre-back 100%? But obviously he's going to want to be first choice if he comes in the door, especially for big money. So that's the only reservation I have. But I think if he does come in, he comes in knowing he might make a few mistakes, but if you give him time, he could be a top centre-back.
And last but not least, let's talk about Romain Mundle. He's actually in the squad on the bench today for the game, so congratulations to Mundle for that. But Ali Gold says that Tottenham are looking to offer Mundle a fresh contract as they see a long-term future for the winger. Other Premier League clubs are circling around and keeping an eye on the situation. His contract does run out at the end of the season.
Yeah, interesting. Well, I haven't seen obviously much of him, but I did see him in a couple of friendlies, not pre-season, but it was like post World Cup in the mini preseason we had. He played a few minutes in those games. He did look bright, and he did look like he was kind of at home at that level, although it wasn't much of a sample size. There have been a few clips circling around of him in first team training, which have been impressive. There was that, and there was a one where he cut inside 25 yards, banged into the top corner. It was like really impressive. I was like, okay, this is in first team training, so clearly he has something about him. I would have been interested to see if Perisic wasn't fit today, if whether he would have gotten a start. I would have leaned towards him, but it does seem as though the coaching staff don't want to risk that. So I don't think it was ever going to happen. But look, I'm looking forward to see how he develops. And look, we should start using our academy more. I've said it before. We don't use our academy enough. And whether it's appointing managers who don't trust the young players or whatever the reason is, if we need to give a pathway to the first team, and hopefully players like Mundle start breaking through.
Absolutely. We need some players to start breaking through the academy, because you look at all the top clubs right now in the Premier League. You look at Liverpool, players breaking through for the academy, Elliott and Bajetic. You look at Man City, players breaking...
Elliott, they signed, I think.
Oh, okay, fine. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They do have players coming through. Trent, they do have players coming through from the academy. You look at Man City, Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, players coming through for the academy. Arsenal, a whole squad of them. Chelsea as well. They've got players coming through from the academy, and we're the only ones that seem to not have players coming through consistently. I mean, the last one...
we have 3 academy players in our squad.
We have Skip, right? But the last one before that really made a name for himself was Harry Kane.
Probably, yeah. Obviously, we've had over the last 10 years, the players who've made a real impact in the first team. You got Mason, Winks. You've obviously got Kane, Tanganga, Skip. There's not enough for the quality that we have, especially with players going off other places and seemingly doing well, like Madueke. We miss out on all these players because we don't give them the proper opportunities. So I agree. I think when it comes to that, we are lagging behind, and especially given that our facilities, we have the best in the world for these young players to develop. Maybe, I don't know if it's maybe we need better youth coaches, or I don't know what it is, but there needs to be more of a pipeline or better coaching to facilitate these young players. So I 100% agree. We need to be matching these other clubs when it comes through bringing these young players.
And it's interesting because this chap... Alex Inglethorpe, right? When he was at Spurs, he was the head of the academy, and players seem to be coming through from the academy all the time. Danny Rose was on a podcast or on Sky Sports recently talking about how much of an influence he was in his career, and him and Chris Ramsey, both of them, big influences on the academy and all the players that have come through over recent years. And since Alex Inglethorpe has gone to Liverpool, he's the head of the academy there. It seems as though it's really gone downhill. Really gone downhill.
Yeah, what year was that? I don't know, but
not too sure.
Yeah, I agree. We need to revisit that 100%.
He joined 2012.
Liverpool.
Yeah.
And he because Spurs actually around that time had a really decent crop of youngsters that actually all went on to become Premier League players, like Andros Townsend, I would say Ryan Mason, Adam Smith, Charlie Daniels, Ryan Fredericks, a lot of them. Even obviously they're not massive names, but they're still Premier League players, and Spurs will probably see that as a success. So clearly he was doing something right.
Yeah. All right, well, there you have it. That is our Tottenham update for today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always,
come on, you Spurs.